Hey, what's up, everybody? So, the question at hand is the American dream dead? uh, that, that's a good one. I would say yes. Um, and I know that's probably a little bit too forward of me to say, but the reason that I say it is because I feel like the vision of what the American dream is is if you work hard and you do everything that you're supposed to do in the right way, that it will lead to this picturesque life that usually involves owning a home, starting a family, you know, being able to take a couple trips, being able to support your children, through college. Um, and I think if that's what the American dream is to you, then yeah, I'm going to hold true to my answer. Then yeah, I think the American dream is dead. I think, there are ways to get a piece of the American dream. I if you look at the prospect of owning a home, I think half of millennials and Gen Zers who have college degrees will never own a home. Um, you know, the problem is, and I've talked about this before, the cost of a college education, which is supposed to be designed to give an individual a competitive advantage in the public market, versus everybody else who's competing for the same jobs, is more expensive than what the jobs pay out on the other end. Now this said, look, there are certain job sectors and certain college degrees that are highly desirable. If you are in a specific and very, specified industry, so like if you're an engineer or if you're, in law or nursing or any sort of science background, there is a demand for your skill set. Now, I don't know exactly what those percentages look like. If you were to make me, pick what that number looks like, I would say, 25% of people who are graduating with those, highly specified degrees are able to find work that pays a livable wage, where 75% aren't. And I think what has happened over the last decade plus is there are more young Americans who have had trouble finding jobs and careers that pay enough to support this idea of the American dream. And I don't see it getting any better, which is probably not the right thing to say. But I think that's my honest and humble opinion. I think, with everything that's happening with the coronavirus, I think things are going to get worse before it gets better. And I still think that we, as a nation, as a collective young American group, we're still recovering from, the 2008 economic recession. So for the Gen Zers and the millennials, like having to go through the 2008 economic collapse and now COVID-19, it's it's devastating financially because there's only so much control we have in the market. And what I've seen is this shift in American business, especially within the private sector, post 2008, where companies have figured out a way to be extremely efficient. And because companies went bankrupt and because there are so many overeducated young people who need jobs to pay the bills, they're able to be, you know, highly specific in the people that they hire, and then when they do hire them, they pay less than what they were paying before 2008, and they expect productivity to be higher than pre 2008. Now, look, I'm a capitalist. I understand how private companies work. Companies are designed to increase profitability. They are in business to make money. They're not in business to employ Americans. I mean, they use Americans to deliver profitability. And, I think what has happened over the last 15, 20 years is there has been a massive power shift from, the collective workers to the companies who employ those workers, where now, employers are so powerful they can essentially, come out and say, well, it's like, well, if you don't like the hours that you're getting, if you don't like the wages that you're making, if you don't like the benefits that we are providing, we'll leave. Go find what you're looking for somewhere else. And the problem is, in a lot of scenarios, there isn't a better solution. So you're forced to take jobs that you're overqualified for and that are probably paying you the minimum that you need to survive, with all of the different expenses that you have. And, when you look at that, as, as you're also trying to obtain the American dream costs money. And so if you're not making enough money, as you continue to, work 10 years and then 20 years and then 30 years, if you're constantly breaking even, you don't have the money to chase the American dream. So when you ask me if the American dream, as, our parents' generation knew it, was attainable anymore, I don't think it is for most Americans. And even college educated Americans. I am not, I mean, I've never owned a home. I don't know if I will ever own a home. So like, that's just me being honest. So for me personally, the idea of the American dream is, I guess, something that I am working to obtain. But even as somebody who's, educated and somewhat bright, if you were to ask me if I'll ever obtain the American dream, I would tell you I don't know. I mean, right now, I'm not optimistic, and maybe that makes me, either a terrible politician, or, my candor is received, I don't know, well. I don't know. I think that there are different things that we can do to help as many young people and middle-aged people as possible to get closer to obtaining the American dream. But I think the sad reality is in 2020, especially with what we're going through right now with the coronavirus, I think everybody's picturesque vision of what the American dream looks like, it's going to be unfortunately altered. Now, if I win, like I'm going to work my ass off to make the American dream accessible to as many people as I can. Um, but right now, I think with what we're going through, it's a tough position to be in. So yeah, that's what I got.